Alright, so in my last video, I talked about what Michael Dell did. His 10 audacious business strategies. The industry shattering moves. But in this podcast, we're going to have a deep dive on how he think, his operating system, his mental models, his decision-making framework. What was going on inside the mind that built Dell Technologies? Took it private in a storm and then engineered the biggest tech merger ever. Forget the spreadsheets for a second. Let's try to install Michael Dell's operating system in your own heads. What were his mental models, his decision-making triggers? And let's decode the man behind the machine. I'm going to be covering a lot, so let's get started. The first is, how did Michael Dell approach core values? Well, the unshakable foundation for Dell is started and ended with customers directly. That wasn't just marketing fluff. It was the entire point. Bypassing stores wasn't just about cost. It was about building a direct relationship, getting real information, and passing savings along. Everything flowed from the direct connection. Coupled with this was an almost religious belief in efficiency and velocity. Time was money. Inventory was evil. He famously measured inventory in hours, not days or weeks. Speed wasn't just fast. It was a core value. And underpinning it all, pragmatism. Does it work? Does it deliver results? Let's do that. When things went wrong, like facing an accounting probe, the approach was integrity. Cooperate, find the problem, fix it, ensure it never happens again. Direct, accountable. People that focused on, not just focus, are customer obsessed are the ones that do really well in business. Because they're the ones that run the business. They provide blood to the business. So, Amazon, Costco, there are numerous of businesses out there that are obsessed with customers. Successful ones are the ones that survive, thrive, and dominate. How did he approach hiring? He looked for alignment and drive. Could you thrive in a world ruled by speed and data? Did you have a relentless energy? When bringing in key leaders, it was about finding people who not only had the skills, but got the Dell way. People who could execute with competence and mirror that intense drive. How did Dell make decisions? Well, forget crystal ball. It was data first. If you can't measure it, you can't manage it. It wasn't a suggestion, it was law. Dell fostered a company culture where they lived and died by data. Gut feeling might identify an issue, but data justified the solution. This led to a calculated boldness. The LBO, the EMC deal, these were colossal bets. But behind the scenes, there was an insane amount of financial modeling and strategic analysis. They were audacious, but rooted in a data-driven assessment of risk versus long-term necessity. He wasn't just throwing dice. He was playing high-stake chess with a calculator. What about mistakes? Everyone makes them, right? Well, Dell wasn't afraid to admit when things didn't work. Like trying to slap the Dell model onto consumer gadgets where it didn't quite fit. The key, pivoting based on data. When pure direct sales started hitting limits, he didn't stubbornly stick to it. He pragmatically added retail partners. When the PC market fundamentally shifted, he didn't just tweak. He orchestrated massive transformations because the data screamed that the old world was ending. Acknowledge, analyze data, and pivot decisively. This flows into his leadership style. It was demanding and data-driven. Expect high performance measured constantly. It was also empowering within the framework. He trusted his leadership team with a huge responsibility, provided and operated with Dell model, and delivered on metrics. He kept organization relentless focus on the core mission efficiency, customer value, and big strategic goals. Innovation. How did Dell approach innovation? Well, primarily through business model and process innovation. The direct model was the killer app. Continuous innovation meant relentless shaving time off the supply chain, speeding up manufacturing, making virtual integration with suppliers reality. Later, acquisition became a key innovation tactic. When the world class enterprise storage or virtualization by EMC and VMware, it was about acquiring critical capabilities faster than they could ever build, and always customer feedback. Gathered directly fueled constant iteration on products and services. Well, now let's talk money. Financial strategy, the absolute cornerstone, the cash conversion cycle supremacy, getting paid before you pay suppliers. This is genius. They'll call this negative cash cycle a powerful source of funding. It wasn't just accounting, it was a strategic fuel. This allowed Dell to maintain liquidity as a strategic weapon. Having cash wasn't just safe, it provided the firepower for the LBO and the EMC deal when competitors might be struggling. Every dollar was allocated with discipline, focus on ROI and strategic fit. Partnerships. Well, forget golf course and handshakes. They'll focus on deep supplier integration, sharing data, building trust, making partners extensions of Dell's own operations. And for the big deals, strategic financial partnerships, like with private equity firms, built on credibility and clear, compelling strategic vision. Deep functional relationships were key. Relationships are everything. Make sure you have a strategic way of meeting new people, meeting the right people, networking. How did they scale so fast? Well, direct model was inherently replicable. Standardized processes coupled with massive early investment in IT to manage the data flow allowed them to handle explosive growth. Bringing in strategic hires with scaling experience at the right moments was also crucial. Acqui-hire, man, that's very, very good strategic hires. All right, think about branding. Well, initially it was model be direct, value customization, simple, powerful. Post transformation, the message shifted consciously to Dell Technologies, enterprises, solutions, transformation. The brand always reflected the core differentiation, whether it was efficiency or later breadth, and capability. Getting and keeping customers, well, direct channels, mail, phone, pioneering e-commerce. Retention was built into the model. Know your customer through direct interaction and purchase history. All thanks to data. Make upgrades easy. Foster loyalty through that ongoing relationship. Crisis management, well, the financial, everybody goes through crisis management, right? The financial resilience from liquidity and the flexible model help weather storms like the 2008 crisis. When trouble hit, like the accounting probe, the response was direct communication and action. Cooperate, fix, communicate. During the LBO battle, Dell fought back publicly, arguing his case directly to shareholders. Adaptability, it perhaps Dell's defining trait. He lives by the idea that what got you here won't get you there. His entire career is a masterclass in radical adaptation driven by market reality and data. He wasn't afraid to change everything. How did he solve problems? Well, I think you already know by now. See the dip in the data, analyze. Analyze the process to find the root cause, implement pragmatic fix, measure the result, rinse and repeat. Empirical, efficient, and relentless. All right. Now, what about the personal habits? He calls himself curious. The discipline is obvious. The data immersion seems habitual. And there's the famous constructive paranoia, never being satisfied, always scanning the horizon for threats and opportunities. Uh, It's a healthy it's a it's a healthy amount of paranoia. He learned by doing and analyzing, filtering information through the lenses of data, customer impact, and efficiency. Finally, the legacy. It seems less about exiting and more about transformation, creating and enduring Dell technologies, capable of thriving in the new tech era, appears to be driving goal behind LBO and the EMC deal, and returning the company to the public markets. He wasn't building to sell, he was building to last, whatever form that took. So that's a glimpse inside Michael Dell's operating system. Data driven, customer base, customer obsessed, ruthless efficiency, strategically audacious, and relentless adaptable. It's a potent combination. A mindset forged in the fire of disrupting an industry and navigating decades of tumultuous change. Think about these mental models. Think about these decision making frameworks. How can you leverage data more effectively? How can you get closer to your customer? Where can you inject more velocity? The strategies are powerful, but understanding the thinking behind them, that's where the real edge lies. And if you found value in this, share, subscribe. And if you haven't already, I did Michael Dell's 10 business strategies. You will find that very valuable. Click on somewhere on the screen and go out there, build your empire. Stay tuned for the next one. Peace.